And we said, you know, you've got some nonfiction books out there that are old, copyright's old. If it was print, we would have weeded it. And they were like, why would you want to weed something? And so, again, another, it's not taking up any space. Like, yeah, but it's old information. It's bad information. So that is right now that content is not, so that goes back to the question. The content does not reside with the library. I don't have to worry about the space, but I lose a little control. So, work in progress. Not a good answer, but.
If you get out of the lending business, what happens to equity?
When you say equity, what do you mean?
Like, what about the people who can't afford to buy it?
That's what I'm talking about. When I say do librarians become advocates, do we go to our legislature and do we say, you have got to force these publishers to play nice? And when we force them to play nice, you know, that's where the equity piece comes. Do librarians and libraries speak up on behalf of readers who aren't really thinking in that realm right now? They're just thinking, if I can afford a Kindle, I can get it. But what about the people who aren't thinking about that? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, and eventually, will people write books and only put them in e-format?
Right.
And in that case, you are denying people who don't have the computer access to the ability to have that option towards literacy.
You're exactly right.
And I guess my other question, or my other thought is for those people that are trying to get out information that is their particular point of view, and they're going to give it away for free, but it's kind of like someone who's standing on a street corner handing you brochures, you know, about God or whatever. Right. You know, right. Not that I have a problem with God,
right?
But you know what I'm saying
right.
is, you know, when you start doing these searches to look for free books, is that what you're going to start getting? Is this big collection of trash?
Oh, you already can get that.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And you know, I have to say that that's kind of a problem. When I go
Right.
looking for free books,
Right.
I get a ton of trash.
Right.
It's hard to sort out the good literature
Right.
From the crap that's out there.
And that's where I think, and here's where I get on my other soapbox, as readers' advisors, that's the role librarians can play.
Exactly.
We may not be lenders, but we can still recommend,
Yeah.
oh, you want to read something on your Kindle? Man, I just read this, you should go get this. Oh, you got
Exactly.
a Nook, or, you know, you're right, that we continue to be that Sherpa. Back to that other point about formats going away, yes, I think that someday it is going to, we're already seeing that in the reference world. Standard & Poor's has already said that they're going to phase out all their print. HarperCollins has already said they're going to phase out stamping CDs, that they're going to streaming audiobooks only. Sony already closed a stamping plant, so they're not making, so that is happening more and more. Anybody got, you know, Betamax anymore? Anybody got big 8-track tapes? You know, that death of the, okay, Becky, yeah, whatever. Any normal people other than Becky?
You're already seeing it with Netflix,
Right.
who is going to
Right.
models. And
Right. And that's what I talk about where libraries are as these models. I mean, right now, let's face it, libraries are nothing but free iTunes. The music business for libraries, I think that that's a discussion that how many libraries will be lending CDs in 3, 4, 5 years. So EPUB's a little out there, but the other formats are already lining up there. I saw another hand.
Phil, that obviously format thing brings up another question that I've been wondering about. Like, I'm the kind of person who holds on to media for a long time.
Sure.
And so I'm wondering if the EPUBs with DRM are still going to work for me years down the road when, you know, the server that the
Right.
reader is contacting is there or whatever.
And that's where I go back to access and legislation. And everybody gets all geeked up about regulations, and we're over-regulated, we have too much government. But we've already seen that the marketplace doesn't play fair, and nobody really thinks about archiving and keeping things. And so if they're not forced to do that, right, the content you have could just go the way of the dodo.
Would you like to comment about the incident about Amazon pulling books back off?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that goes back to what Jennifer was kind of saying. That was the version that they didn't have the rights to. And so, you know, again, a whole brave new world. Kind of Orwellian, huh?
It's ironic, yeah.
It is, yeah, exactly. You know, and that's why I just, librarians can jump up and down about HarperCollins. They can jump up about Macmillan and say, but at the end of the day, what's the core issue? And it's just what you said right there, and what you're talking about, is do we have access to the content? Or can somebody just yank it away? And then, so if that's the case, then how do we stop that and prevent that from happening? How do we prevent rewriting history if it's only in a certain format or an incident or whatever? if it's not saved somewhere. That's the bigger issue. Not will it work on my Kindle or my Kobo or Kobo, hell, Borders, bye-bye Borders, The bigger issue is intellectual freedom and intellectual property and access and unfettering some of this and then keeping it where we can find it. Other hands? Yes.
Thinking outside the public library.
Yeah.
For a second.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Just think about people who might be doing research, okay?
Right.
Okay, so, and novel is available and things like that for that sort of books that you need for reference.
Right.
They're going to go the same direction that the rest of them are.
Sure.
How do you cite works that are in these publications?
That's an excellent question. I mean, I think that we'll probably develop new rules because we're good. That's one thing we're also very good about, having rules and having cited. But you're right. I mean, and I think that's the thing that if you're not comfortable living in the gray, you're probably really dense right now. This is making you nervous, But you're right. That whole academic setting, how do you cite that? But I also think that what's going to become interesting is that right now we have whole generations that are text-based and used to print. We're going to transform textbooks. And I heard a speaker today, we had Stephen Abram come in and talk to our organization. He talked about, would you rather see DNA flat on the page or would you rather have that DNA pop up and twirl and flips? And then, right, how does that get cited and how is that, used in research? But if you're studying anatomy...
Well, it just worries me that the permanency of it.
Right.
It worries the heck out of me.
Right. And that's, that may be something we have to think about is, I don't know. I have to ponder that. Is it important to be permanent? What's important to be permanent? Is everything supposed to be permanent? I mean, I'm just, I'm spitballing here, thinking out loud.
Permanence has always been an issue.
That's right. Paper does
Paper
eventually
degrades.
crumble. Right.
Well,
when you
after
think
the 1800s when they started making it differently.
Right.
Vellum still exists.
Right. And I've seen a lot of stuff that still exists but shouldn't. So it always comes down to
look at how much has
priority.
been lost. This issue of permanence is not new.
Right.
Scrolls that were made. How many
Right.
of those things were lost?
Right.
When the library
Burned or sacked or
burned,
sieged.
yeah.
Yeah.
How many things exist in private collections that
Right.
nobody else
Right.
knows about?
Right. Right. Yep, it's a conundrum that, and so it kind of goes back to what we've said. We're all geeked up about e-readers. Same old issues.
It's like, don't
Same old issues.
I think the difference is that for the first time, though, there's the potential of not having it happen. That's the thing about digital formats. They're infinitely copyable without...
You sound like a publisher. You're right. I mean, but that's exactly what would come out of a publisher's mouth. This is copyable. I don't want to let it out there. I want to take off the, I don't want to control it.
Well, I'm actually on the other side saying this is, finally, with this sort of format, it is possible to guarantee the permanence of something, but only if you don't have the proprietary formats and the
Right.
DRM and so forth. There
I
was
see
at
what you're
least
saying,
one
yeah.
case, I think it was Amazon, that stopped their key sharing service, and therefore all of any book that you had bought using that DRM
Right.
could no longer recreate or read.
Right. And that's a good point. I'm playing with them to have fun. But the thing that the publishers haven't really pointed out is that these ebooks are really licenses, and they would have to pay their authors differently. Nobody's talking about that. If I were an author right now, I'd be stamping into the office saying, dudes, you owe me more money. This is not a book. This is a license. Totally different. I'll leave. I just want to say that.
Yes, but this
Say
is,
it's bad when I know your name, I call on you.
but this is much the way e-serial started, e-journals
Right.
started. This is kind of going back to the beginning of that. Now that, to me, has gotten way out of hand. But now you can buy perpetual access, you can buy FAT files.
Right. Right.
There's all kinds of licenses, whatever. So I think we have to ask ourselves the question, do we want e-readers to go through that convoluted legal thing with IPs and perpetual and remote access and all that? Or do we want to keep the DRM but keep it fairly simple?
Right.
I'm not a big fan of DRM either, but when I see what's happened to e-journals and how unbelievable